So my wife Finley and I are getting married. Under the circumstances, my mom is staying with me. My mom is not fond of Finley. My wife struggles with an eating disorder and depression, and while wedding planning and everything is really fun, it's also a ton of work to do. It's very tiring and Finley usually can get discouraged. So Finley's mom passed away not long ago and left her a few items. Finley's mom knew about her struggles. One thing she did before she passed was she made a jar of all these encouraging things and tasks. Some may be tasks like taking a shower or going for a walk, and a reward on the back, like now you can watch the show or sleep, etc. But the goal was to do one task for herself. Finley uses those a lot, and they're very important to her. Recently, that jar went missing, and Finley is heartbroken about it. During the entire time, it was a struggle to get her out of bed or eat or anything, because she was sure she had lost the last thing her mom gave her, and she felt awful about it. I was doing the laundry, brought it to my mom's closet, and guess what I found? Her jar. I gave it to Finley, who was overjoyed that she got it back. Of course, I was happy I found it, but I was furious. When my mom came home, I confronted her immediately about how she, number one, went into my bedroom unannounced, 2, snooped through our stuff, 3, stole the jar and hid it, knowing what it was for. She said that she was helping her because she was too attached to it, and it wasn't healthy, and at some point, she will have to learn to live without it. I almost found this comical, but I told her that this was by no means her trying to help Finley, and if that was the case, she would have given it back when she saw the way it affected her, and this was just her sick way of trying to mess with Finley, and I'm not tolerating it. She kept bickering at me, saying that she'd have to let it go at some point, and if I didn't ruin her plan, she would have learned. The fact that she not once apologized, and still hasn't, had me so angry that I told her to leave. She asked me where, and I said, I don't care. Hotel, my dad's, my sister's. I don't care, but out of my house. When she tried to go into the room and throw the glass jar on the ground and break it, I realized that 1, she's not going to change, and 2, she's mental. I told her to get her stuff and leave, and she will never be in my or Finley's space again or wedding. My dad is mad at me, but I think he just doesn't want my mom there. And some of my family are angry too, and I've heard their opinions on this through multiple voicemails. I don't know if I'm in denial or if I'm the only logical person in my family. Am I the idiot? Edit. Oh, also, if it's necessary to the story, my mom is staying with me because she and my dad are going through a divorce. I also did say she could go to my dad's, because while they are having issues right now, it's her house too. She's here because she doesn't want to be there, not because she's homeless. Not the idiot. So your father doesn't want to be around her either. He should understand your position. Your mother had one job, to be a respectful guest, and couldn't even do that right. Actions meet consequences. You showed that you respect your fiancé and her emotional needs, supporting her through a tough time. Unfortunately, your mother showed no such respect and wore out her welcome. Gee, can't imagine why they didn't work out. She seems lovely. Your mother's behavior is inexcusable. Any family members trying to argue otherwise should be clearly told. Mom stole an irreplaceable memento from my fiancé's late mother. Even though Finley was in terrible pain, Mom didn't care. When I caught her, she didn't even apologize and tried to destroy it rather than allow me to return it to Finley. I don't understand how you can condone her actions, but if you see nothing wrong with what she did, you should have no problem inviting her to live with you. Because if they don't condone it, then they can't guilt OP into taking her back in, and then one of them will have to deal with it. Your mother blatantly disregards your future wife's coping mechanisms because she thinks she knows better. She is insane and trying to insert herself into situations that aren't even about her to start drama. I hope your future wife is doing fine, and I wish you both the best in the future. My older sister, Tessa, 29, and I, 24 female, have never been close. She has hated me for as long as I can remember. She was never the big sister who would be there. I got bullied, she ignored it, even stayed silent about it, and spent time with my bullies, one of which was her best friend's younger sister. I lost someone I cared about, and she would lie to our parents and say she had comforted me when she hadn't. She would snap at me and turn away if I wanted to help her when she was going through anything. The best times were when she ignored my existence. When I was 12 and she was 17, we were left alone for a few hours, and I took the opportunity to ask her what I had done wrong and if I could fix it. She told me she had never wanted a sibling, and I was the thing she wished her parents could take back because I was a mistake. It crushed my little heart to hear those words, even if part of me knew it. My parents didn't hear about it until I was 16, and my sister had just gotten married. They were asking why I wasn't invited. I told them to just leave it. They told me they couldn't leave it because I was her sister, and there were other kids my age and younger invited to the wedding. I told them she didn't want me. They didn't believe me until I told them what she said. I told them not to force her because it wouldn't change anything. They didn't force an invite for me, but they did confront my sister and asked her how she could be so cruel and cold and told her to grow up. They did go to her wedding just in case anyone asked. We have not been in each other's lives at all. She has made no effort to reach out to me. But once she learned I was pregnant, things changed. Kind of. She wants to be an aunt to my child. She wants to know my child. But her feelings toward me have clearly not changed. Finally, my parents made me aware that she can't have children and that she's probably realizing how wrong she was. This doesn't change anything for me, and I don't want her in my child's life because I don't trust her to not try and turn my own child against me. She still hates me. From the brief interaction we've had over this, she clearly doesn't want me more than she did at 5, or 21 for that matter, when she got married. My parents want me to let her in, and they want her to be invited to my baby shower. I said no. They told me to think of the baby, that the baby should be allowed to have a relationship with their aunt. I said no. They begged. I told them no again. They left it for a bit, but now that the date for the shower was coming closer, they asked again, and she called again. I told my parents that she was not welcome, and that if they tried to bring her, they would be kicked out of my shower. Now my parents are mad at me, and they tell me what I'm doing is just as bad as what she did. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Heck no. Keep that idiot away from your child. If she wants kids in her life, she can attempt to, with her attitude, adopt, or hang out with her friends' kids if she has any friends. If not, tough luck. She will seriously probably try to take your kid from you. She will make up lies, put them in your kid's head, call CPS, and try to get custody. You share genes, so the kid will resemble her. She could pass them off as her own to people, like she would ever admit that you made that beautiful baby. And she wants kids but can't have her own? Now, coincidentally, she's going to change towards you? Nope. Absolutely nope. My thoughts exactly. I wouldn't even allow her parents to babysit, in fear of her taking the child, or them allowing her to create a relationship with the child behind her back. She's hated you all your life, bullied you, called you a mistake that shouldn't exist, and actively alienated you. Now you have something that she can't have, and she wants you to share it. Heck no. Tell her she deserves the same amount of consideration she gave you. None. She hasn't realized she's wrong. Therefore, you have every reason not to trust her. And if I were you, I would make it very clear to your parents that you do not want her in your child's life. Make it clear that if they betray your trust in this matter, they risk not having a relationship with your child. For context, girlfriend is named Kara. Kara and her ex dated for 4 years and broke up about 1 year before we began dating. We've been together for 2 months. My girlfriend and I are new to our relationship. We were distant friends when she was with her ex, but I always thought she was attractive. She never hung out with me alone and was extremely loyal to her ex-boyfriend. When they broke up, we were all surprised, but I waited a year and asked her out, and now here we are. Last week, I went over to her apartment for the first time since we started dating, and I noticed that she had a cool video game set up. We played many video games, and she has a cute desk, pink gaming chair, anime figurines and all. I noticed her speakers were really nice and asked where they were from. She told me that her ex got them for her when she first showed an interest in gaming. This bothered me a bit, and I asked her if she thought it was weird that she still had items from a past relationship. She said no, and that there were many things in her room from past friendships and her relationship with her ex. I dropped it, but the more I thought about it, the more it bothered me. I don't feel comfortable with her keeping items her ex-boyfriend got for her. Last night I texted her and asked her to get rid of anything her ex got her, just because it made me uncomfortable as her new boyfriend. But instead she called me and flipped out on me, calling me an idiot and insecure. I argued that it's weird that she's holding on to other items from him and shows that she still may harbor feelings for him. She argued that if I wanted her to get rid of everything anyone from a past relationship or friendship had given her, she would have an empty house. She ended up saying either I could pay for new speakers for her or kiss her butt. I hung up on her and we haven't spoken all morning. She just sent me a text saying she thinks she needs some space for a while. I asked my friends about it and they all agreed with me, but my sister said I'm being an insecure jerk. Am I? Total, you are the idiot. She needs to get rid of something she enjoys just because you have completely unreasonable insecurities. If it's so important to you, do what she suggests and buy new ones. But even then, it's ridiculous to demand this. I agree with your sister. You are insecure and foolish, and your insecurities may have cost you your relationship. Everyone has a past. If you cannot handle it, you must reevaluate whether you should be in a relationship. 2 months in and you're already demanding that she get rid of functional items because another dude gave them to her? LOL. You are 28. Time to grow up and become an adult. She had a past before you. It doesn't mean that every time she plays a video game, she's thinking about her ex. Your insecurity will end this relationship if you don't get over yourself. My 22 female, mom 37 female, had me really, really young. My dad was never in the picture. She's still very beautiful, and people say we look like sisters. For as long as I can remember, my mom was a very hardworking and independent woman. She takes pride in not letting any men or her family have any financial chains on her, which is super awesome. I admired her until she got on her high horse. My longtime boyfriend, 24, comes from a very wealthy family, so he tends to shower me with gifts and surprises. My mom doesn't like it. For her, I'm always relying on his money, which is not true. I have 2 jobs, one at school and one part-time. A few months ago, one of my cousins introduced the term sugar daddy/baby to her, and from that moment she was sure that was my situation, which is not. I've tried to explain to her that my relationship is genuine, that my boyfriend and I are loving partners, and that he's not my bag of money, but she doesn't understand. My boyfriend thinks I should ignore her because we both know what's happening behind closed doors, but it's kind of hard. I feel like she respects me less because of this. Well, she's been seeing Ben, 45 male, for a few months now, and he's always giving her nice stuff. Flowers every week, jewelry, cards, going out to nice places, etc. My mom is happy, and I'm happy for her. I noticed the hypocrisy, but I said nothing because it wasn't my intention to bring my mom down. Yesterday, my boyfriend got us matching rings, and while he was in my bathroom, my mom made a small sugar baby comment, and like divine justice, she received flowers from Ben at the same time, saying that it'll take her someplace nice, and she didn't have to worry about anything but look pretty. She was smiling and I said, "Good, now we're both sugar babies, Mom." Her smile dropped, and she said it wasn't funny, and it was different. I just left with my boyfriend, but she texted me, saying we need to talk, and I need to apologize because it's not the same. So am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You're right, it's not the same. I was trying to make a point, but on the other hand, you've repeatedly disrespected my boyfriend and my relationship, and I'm still waiting for my apology. I want to hear how this isn't the same. Because OP's mom is a sugar baby, in all but name. Don't need to worry about anything but looking pretty. After a few months, getting showered with jewelry and nice things at that scale? An 8-year age gap here isn't gross, but it is, a little suspect. So it's totally different. OP's mom is the sugar baby. Tell your mom she needs to grow up. It must suck having to be the adult in all of this. Honestly, I think your mom tossed the sugar baby/daddy at you guys out of jealousy. And now that she has her boyfriend buying her crap, it can't possibly be the same because it's herself. If she wants to talk, I'd be very upfront and tell her that you're insulted that she would think the only reason you're with your boyfriend is to get free stuff or money out of him, that it's rude and shows she doesn't respect you. It's definitely jealousy and competition. Mom used to be praised for her looks, be called her daughter's sister. Then her kid, who in her eyes wasn't that impressive, starts dating a cool guy with money enough to have no worries about it. And he's pampering her when she was a single mother at that age. She doesn't see it, but deep down she's angry her daughter's getting it easy and probably thinks she deserves a rich BF, while OP doesn't. I, 27 female, and my husband, 28, have been together for 10 years and finally got married last week. It was an amazing day, as all of my family was there and I got to marry my best friend. The day was going well, and we all sat in the dining hall where we had speeches. My dad's speech consisted of childhood memories of me, how much he appreciates my husband, and a few jokes thrown in now and then. It was the perfect speech. It made me and many others tear up. When the meal and speeches were all over, the guests were invited to party on the dance floor, and the doors were open to guests who wanted to wander outside, as the venue was a farm. After saying my hellos to all of my guests, I found one guest, a family friend, sitting in a dark corner outside, bawling her eyes out, with her fiancé comforting her. I, of course, asked her what was wrong, and she mentioned that my dad had said something insensitive in his speech, which I didn't pick up on. Her fiancé said it was the part when he said something like, "When am I going to have grandchildren?" or "I hope I get grandchildren." I was told that they've been trying to have children for years and have been going through IVF and had multiple miscarriages. I apologized to her and offered her a hug, but she refused and started screaming at me, saying how she wanted my dad to apologize instead of me. A few people had heard her, and I felt extremely embarrassed because I was being shouted at. My husband also heard and came running to me. He eventually told her and her fiancé to leave, as she was causing a scene, and we just wanted to enjoy our wedding night. We offered to get them a taxi, and they left without saying goodbye when the taxi arrived. Here's where I think I'm the idiot. The next day I made sure the lady was okay, and also asked why she started screaming in my face. She replied and said that we were insensitive. We didn't consider checking my dad's speech. We were also not sympathetic to her when we were speaking to her and told them to go home. I was shocked and also a bit hurt because I did comfort her, but she refused it and started screaming at me. I explained to her that my dad's speech was from the heart, so I couldn't pre-check it, and if she had a problem with my dad, then she had a problem with me. I also said that she should have spoken to me about it in private instead of causing a scene because we didn't want any drama at our wedding, and that she was wrong to scream in my face about it. She then called me an idiot, and now I'm not invited to her wedding. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She's obviously very, very, very upset about not being able to have children, but if it's to the point a speech like this bothers her, she needs help and therapy, not to be screaming at you at your wedding because of your dad's speech. Earnestly, my heart goes out to her for her losses, but you are not the idiot. I feel like that woman wanted to create that scene for the attention and to spite your happy moment. She wanted to make your day about her. I'm not saying she's a narcissist or anything. Grief will make you act in messed up ways. Like, seriously, how are you supposed to pre-check a speech for something insensitive when they tell you why it would be insensitive to them after it was said? Some people love to be a victim. Your dad doesn't owe her anything. Your dad said nothing wrong, and he doesn't have to check his speech with your wedding guest. She needs to learn to control herself. This person behaved inappropriately. Yes, obviously, shouting and disrupting the event is a good reason to be asked to leave. Good Lord, the world is full of unhinged people. I, 41 male, have been married to Jane, 37 female, for about 10 years now. We both have 2 kids from previous relationships. I have Tim, 19 male, and Harry, teen male, while she has Eve, 18 female, and Matt, teen male. About half a year ago, my father died and left us his house, which we moved into, selling our old house. When we moved in, Jane began asking that I put her name on the house as well, which I refused since we agreed to have separate finances before we got married. Jane didn't like this and started acting out at home, not helping out, leaving the house for hours, and not responding to my calls or text. When I asked her why she was doing this, she said it wasn't her house, so she shouldn't have to help out. This didn't help my relationship with her daughter, who's never really liked me in contrast to her brother, who adores me and is best friends with Harry. She often shouts that I'm not her dad, so I should leave her alone, which is hurtful, but I just let it go. Still, it got to the point one day, Jane, Eve, and I got into an argument, and out of spite, I wrote Eve out of my will. If she wasn't going to see me as a father, then she wasn't entitled to my money. A few weeks ago, Eve had a festival and asked to use my car to go. I told her no, as I'd have to take the car to work. She asked why I didn't just take Uber, and I said that I had all my students' assignments and other materials in my car, so it's like convenient storage. She went into a mood and went to her room. Come the day before the festival, I wake up to go to work, and my car isn't there. I had to call in sick to work and call everyone to find out where my car had gone. I called the police to report a stolen vehicle, and a few hours later, I get an angry call from Jane shouting at me for getting Eve arrested. It turns out Eve and her friends broke into my car the night before and took it so they could go to the festival. When they got home from the station, they went off on me and accused me of hating Eve and wanting her to suffer in jail. I just went to sleep because I was already too stressed out for the day. Come the next morning, I found out that Jane had gone through my folders and seen my will and told Eve. Eve smashed her brother Matt's gaming PC that I'd bought for him, saying that he doesn't deserve anything from that monster. When I found out, I was livid. Her mother tried to defend her, and I wasn't having any of it, and I just ended up kicking Eve out of my house. Jane shouted at me, saying how could I do that to her, and that I'm a selfish monster. I didn't care. I just let her talk while Eve packed her things. Jane has been sleeping in Eve's room now. She goes to work, orders takeaway for herself, and just stays in the room. I sometimes overhear her talking trash about me on the phone. Eve has been staying with her aunt on the other side of the city. I feel bad since I just wanted to give the kids a real family, and now I've just gone and ruined it for them. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but Eve isn't the main issue. Your wife is. Provided that you split the money from the house you two had before you moved into your father's house, there's no real issue there, since you already had separate finances. Jane's response was immature and gave Eve tacit permission to act out. Then she egged her on more by sharing your will. Eve stole your car. You had every right to call the police. She also destroyed her brother's PC out of spite. Family therapy if you want to save this sinking, sunken ship. You're also not blameless, as it's petty to write someone out of your will out of spite rather than to try to work on the relationship. And describing his wife's behavior as acting out, as one might describe a child's behavior. I had to go back to the story's beginning to make sure I had the name straight. Also, I suspect OP hasn't told us all he should consider about the home ownership situation. Frankly, I think the marriage is likely over. I think OP owned the previous home, and it was all in his name, so the money from the sale went to him, which is fair. I don't think Eve deserves the chance to work things out. She's an adult, and she has no excuses to treat people like crap, especially the person housing them. Not the idiot OP. Divorce Jane ASAP. Kick her out as well. You and your kids don't need this type of abuse. P.S. If Jane's gonna act like a roommate, then treat her like one. Make sure she pays rent, etc. Divorce her and keep Matt. That said, all of Eve's actions here are her own. She's 18 and an adult, and breaking into and stealing a car and destroying a gaming PC, which can cost £1,000 to £5,000 plus, are all criminal offenses. Regardless of what's going on between you and Jane, she should not defend her daughter's criminal actions, especially stealing a car with student files in it and trashing her brother's computer. I let my friend and her boyfriend stay with me on Friday night because they were in the city to see a play. By the time it finished, it'd already be late, and they had a long drive home, So they were planning to get a hotel room or an Airbnb. Still, I told them that they could use my guest bedroom, and when they got back from the play, we got takeout. In my opinion, it was quite a good time catching up with my friend and getting to know her boyfriend. After eating, we chilled out to Netflix for a bit, and at this point, my leg began to have a flare-up. I was in an accident as a teenager, which left me with a messed up leg, so I can have horrible pain during a long day, or even just randomly. All my friends are aware of this, as it's just a part of my life that I have to consider whenever I make plans. I just rolled my jean leg up to my knee as I sat on the sofa and massaged the leg and scar tissue to try and ease the pain as we watched The Sandman. I didn't think anything of it until today. My friend told me she hadn't appreciated me showing off my leg in front of her boyfriend and massaging it. I asked her what she meant, and she seemed to be under the impression that I'd done it to try to catch his eye, which I laughed at as I was so shocked. I asked her how a lot of scar tissue was meant to catch his eye and reminded her I have leg flare-ups and I've been just trying to ease it. When she asked me why I hadn't gone into my room to do that, I told her because it's my apartment and we'd been watching something. It's not like I took my jeans off. I rolled the leg up. She wouldn't back down and demanded I apologize. And when I told her I had nothing to apologize for, and if it made her uncomfortable, she could have gone into the guest room with him. After that, she ended the call. My friend has always been a bit insecure in her relationships, so maybe I should have been more thoughtful, but doing that is by far the least sexy thing I could have done. It never even crossed my mind that it may upset her at the time, and when I learned it did, she seemed confident I'd done it on purpose, and then demanded an apology, which made me less inclined to give one. I honestly didn't think that I did anything I should apologize for. Still, maybe I'm being too stubborn right now. Not the idiot. Her head would have exploded if you had been wearing shorts or a skirt. I've never heard of someone thinking that massaging scar tissue on the lower leg was a signal saying, "Hey, big boy, come and get it. But don't let him see your elbows next, you Jezebel." A calf? What is this, 1850? Your friend has a lot of nerve using your guest room and then telling you not to display your calf in front of her boyfriend. No wonder she's insecure in her relationships. Unless you belong to a religion or a cult that says women shouldn't show their calves to men, her reaction is way out of line. I don't really know the full details, but my son broke up with his girlfriend for college due to distance. He didn't show any emotions, but it was clear that he was a bit sad. I mean, I get it. They were together for 2 years and she was a sweet girl. I was also aware that they had planned on staying friends. Well, it's been a while since he left, and it's been pretty hard. He's having loads of fun, though. I'm so glad. Anyways, yesterday, his girlfriend knocked at our door. I let her in and, well, she just started bawling. Obviously, I comforted her and asked her if everything was okay, and she told me that she thought my son had found a new girl. I already knew because when my husband and I called him the day before, his dad made a joke about girls, and the way he acted seemed like there was someone. I didn't know what to say, so I just said I was sorry, but she kept crying and told me about how she didn't think he'd move on that fast and how he doesn't talk to her anymore. She then showed me a picture of my son with the girl he apparently likes. My husband was uncomfortable, and my other son also had some friends over, so the situation was peculiar. And again, what do I say to that? I took her outside and told her that I was sorry, but maybe she should talk to her own mother or friends about this. She got really wide-eyed and said, "You don't think what he's doing is wrong?" So I just sighed and said, "Listen, stuff happens, but life goes on. I got over it. You will and should as well." I thought I did pretty well considering the circumstances, but she began to cry even harder. She called me terrible and said she expected me to be more understanding since I've known her as my son's girlfriend for 2 years. If I can throw her away like this, then it's no wonder my son can. She called me a mean person before getting in her car and driving away. I didn't expect the reaction, so I'm slightly surprised. I suppose I could have been more understanding, but I didn't want to give her false hope. My husband doesn't really care. He's just happy she left. But my sister thinks I'm stupid because the girl didn't come over to get a reality check. She just wanted some support. I didn't even mean for my words to come off as a reality check, but maybe I did come across as mean. Am I the idiot? The correct answer to her question is, you are no longer a couple, so of course he can date someone new. You gave her an even milder answer, along with the good advice that she should be turning to her family and friends rather than her ex-boyfriend's mother. Not the idiot, OP. You have nothing to feel bad about. Why does your sister think it's your job to give her some support? What would support sound like? Yeah, my son's a jerk for not wanting to be in a long-distance relationship. Who raised him? I don't know the young lady, but I'd be willing to bet she was there to enlist your aid in getting them back together. I'm sure she's a sweet girl, but I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Agree. I think she was expecting his mom to call him to task to make him not date until she was ready. Also, I wouldn't call that a reality check. It sounds like you were completely logical and just stated facts. She wanted you to take her side over your own son. Nope, not gonna happen. He didn't cheat. He didn't leave her broke and pregnant, and he didn't assault her. He found another girl after they broke up. So normal. Breakups hurt, but it's a part of life, and you need to be an adult through that pain. That's where adulting really happens. I, 22 female, recently found out my boyfriend, 23, of nearly 2 years, has never been to an aquarium or a zoo or anything like that. Growing up, his family didn't have much money, so they never really took day trips. I decided to fix that and planned a date on which I would surprise him. We'd be going to the aquarium that I went to growing up, going out for McDonald's, and stopping by the pier to hit up some of the fair rides there, all my treat. Basically, a classic kid's day trip that he never got to do growing up. We had the date and it was a blast. My boyfriend loved every minute of it and got super emotional at some points. A win of a date, and everyone was happy. Until I was talking about it with my family recently. I've got a younger brother who's a pre-tween. My parents were annoyed that I'd done this kid-friendly day and had not taken my brother along to give them a break, and even loudly talked about all the fun the three of us could have had together. My brother heard this, as they weren't exactly being quiet, and got super upset, as he wanted to go to the aquarium and get McDonald's and go on rides. I was kind of angry at them for doing this, and pointed out that it was a date with my boyfriend, and bringing a kid would be weird, though I promised my brother I'd take him out for McDonald's tomorrow. Not good enough, apparently. My parents pointed out how I still live with them, so I need to be more considerate of my little brother and their needing time. Now, I pay rent and help out around the house. I'm not exactly someone milking my parents dry, and I also babysit my brother all the time. I don't think it's unreasonable to want to have a date with my boyfriend alone, even if it is a kid-friendly date. My family seemed to think, though, as it wasn't a romantic one, that I should have. Not the idiot. Yeah, he's your brother, but he's their son, not yours. It's not your responsibility to take care of your brother so that they can have free time. They chose to have children, so they must take care of and parent their child. A date isn't a kid-friendly event. It's romantic and personal, not suitable for a kid. Say, what would we have done with him while we had intimacy or made out in the car at Lookout Point with a straight face? But seriously, not the idiot. If they need a break, they need to ask. As you said, you pay rent, among other things. You're not a leech. OMG, it was a special day between the two of you. And if you want a special day with your brother, you can do that too, without your boyfriend. Or your parents could go to the aquarium with their son for some quality fun family time. The only way you solve this is by moving out, because your parents are already taking advantage of you, using you as free childcare in the first place. Please update us when you move out and they lose your free babysitting duties. I, female 30, recently inherited a terraced house from my late child-free aunt. With the housing market being what it is, I've decided to move into the house permanently for the foreseeable future. It's a lovely house in a nice area, so why not? It has a pretty neat driveway, but there's one problem. One of the neighbors, female 35, keeps parking in the driveway. I talked to her politely about it, and she explained that my aunt used to let her park in the driveway because my aunt didn't have a car, where she and her husband have a car each, and their driveway can only fit one car. I don't drive either, but I don't want her parking there because I'm disabled and use crutches to get around. So when the neighbor parks in the driveway, the space around her car is quite narrow, making it very difficult for me to get to my front door and putting me at risk of injury. I tried to explain this to the neighbor and asked if she could please find somewhere else to park her car. She seemed to understand, but didn't promise anything. Well, she kept parking in the driveway. I talked to her again, and she said she couldn't park elsewhere because it would be too far to walk to their house, and she has 3 young children who frequently travel in her car. I got kind of annoyed because I felt like she didn't want to change her habits, but I'm a bit shy and not good at confrontation, and just told her I hope she could figure something out that doesn't involve parking in my driveway. Well, a few days ago, when I was coming home from work, she parked her car in my driveway again. However, this time her car was parked really forward and super close to my front door, making it pretty much impossible for me to get into my own house. Even a non-disabled person wouldn't be able to get in. There was no space to even open the front door. It opens outwards. Here's what probably makes me an idiot. I was furious and tired of the situation. So without trying to talk to this neighbor again, I called the police on a non-emergency number, explained the situation, and they showed up and towed my neighbor's car. Obviously, she was furious when she found out and showed up at my door the next day. She said I'm inconsiderate and should learn how to compromise, and that if I asked her to, she would have moved her car. I don't believe her. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Should learn how to communicate? Is that expression ever used other than by idiots who are not getting their way? Every time I see it deployed, the compromise is that the idiot gets everything they want and you get screwed. The compromise is you won't park in her front yard. OP should compromise by putting one of those heavy garden benches in the middle of her driveway so no one can park there and she can sit and enjoy her property in peace. I don't believe for a second that the neighbor innocently parked so close you couldn't even open your front door. They were trying to punish you. They played silly idiot and you clapped back. Good on you. Though beware that they will try to retaliate. Also, one thing I noticed is neighbor can't park her car further because of her kids, but then why don't they park her car in her driveway and the husband walks a few minutes to his? How about this compromise? You don't park in my driveway and I won't have your car towed. I call that a win-win. She expects a disabled person to hobble over to her house to ask her to move her car. You were more than patient, and now she can go and see if the towing company wants to compromise with her.